So it looks like our Minister for Women has retired. Let's have a look. Good evening everyone and welcome to this episode for Heiser Says. I thought I'd like to talk about Kelly O'Dwyer's retirement from Parliament. The Minister for Women, Industrial Relations Minister, has announced that she's retiring. She's not standing for the next election. So let's have a read through this article here. So, Industrial Relations Minister Kelly O'Dwyer has revealed a heartbreaking moment that influenced her decision to quit politics. In an exclusive interview with News Corp, Ms. O'Dwyer said enduring a miscarriage in Parliament House without the support of her husband was a factor in her decision. That's quite gut-wrenching. But it's also something, miscarriages are a very common occurrence in people having children, and it isn't kind of discussed. People don't really talk about it in the open. They don't share the fact that they go through these type of things, and it can be harder for people to deal with. So in some ways, it's something that people need to be aware of. There is a risk of miscarriages when you're having children, always. Particularly with the older you get, the older you try to have kids, the risk increases. I never ever want that to happen again, the Higgins MP said. Ms. O'Dwyer has two children, Olivia 3 and Edward's 20 months. She said she had to undergo IVF to conceive and would also need treatment to have a third baby she wants to have with her partner. So she wants to have a third kid, a third child, and I think that's fantastic. Most people don't go that far. I definitely do. But the sad thing is she's having to go through IVF, and she's not exactly young to go for a third child, so it's going to be harder. On Saturday, Ms. O'Dwyer announced she would be quitting politics to spend more time with her family and trying for a third child. And when this article, this announcement came to light, you just see the comments in the Facebook from the lefty, feminist, typical SJWs going on about all the men will dogpile on that women can't handle politics, or you can't have a career and family. And it was quite gut-wrenching, because this would have been a very hard decision for her to make. And also, I bet you a lot of those people being critical don't actually have children, and don't realize that once you have children and a family, a lot of what you used to think was important and really mattered, it kind of doesn't matter as much anymore. You realize all the meaningless BS a lot of this materialistic chasing is, and you kind of value what's important. And family really is important, and time with your kids, particularly 3 and 20 months, these are the best years. They just get worse from here on in, I'm told. Not my children, never mine. So I completely understand wanting to put family first and spending the time with family, and I commend her for making that decision, because a lot of women will, frankly, I think, be jealous that she has the capacity and the guts to do it. So alongside Prime Minister Scott Morrison in a park in her Melbourne electorate of Higgins on Saturday, Ms. O'Dwyer said she would not recontest the seat at the next election. I cannot commit to another 3 years and continue to deliver the quality of service that my country, my party, and my community are entitled to expect. Why? There's lots of Greens members of Parliament and people just sitting on committees not doing much work as politicians, but I respect that. Over the Christmas break, she took time to reflect on her growing children, Olivia and Edward, who will reach primary school age during the next Parliament. I no longer want to consistently miss out on seeing my children when they wake up in the morning or go to bed at night. And I want to know that when I'm around, my time is not constantly disrupted. She wants to be a mother. She wants to enjoy this time with her children. And that is completely acceptable, because really you can't do both. You can't have a career and go full on in your career and have a family and go full on in your family. One is always going to suffer. And if you put your career first, your children will suffer. And for women, in many ways, it's harder than men because of nature, evolution, cultural expectations. I have had it quite unique, because with the way Rachel and I were running our business, we would bring the baby into work and they'd be sitting there on the desk. So I've seen, Mina grew up in the office as a baby, and I've seen her all the time. The kids miss me if they don't see me for one day now, because I'm working at home, so it's quite funny. But I'm very lucky in the amount of time I get to spend with my children just normally. I mean, it's bloody annoying. I need to lock the door here sometimes so they don't come in when I'm trying to work, but you give and take. There is another very personal reason. Like so many other families, our journey to parenthood has not been straightforward. Adding, she and her husband want to give themselves the best chance of having a third child. We need to be very realistic. I turned 42 this year and everything has to go right. Yeah, it gets harder the older you get. It really does. And blokes, don't think your quality of product decreases too the older you get as well. So if you want to have a family, you've got to keep that in mind too. She said her choice did not mean men or women had to choose between family and public service, but this was the choice she had made for herself. Well, I would say they do, or they need to manage the balance and realize what is more important to them. There is no one I know who has worked harder or achieved more than Kelly O'Dwyer, Mr. Morrison said. I support her choice. I support all women's choices. I want women to have more choices and all the independence that comes with that. Well, yeah, that's really, of course, you'd hope that a Prime Minister from the Liberal Party would want people to have freedom of choice. And you have to understand, it's the lefties, the social justice warriors, who are pushing women away from choosing to be a mother, choosing to devote time to her family and say, no, you have to have a career. And the more, equal societies, the more of a disparity there is between the genders' choices, because people are free. If people are free to choose, they will choose what they want to do. And honestly, sometimes family is more important than career. Who cares? I can appreciate that. As a dad and someone who's had an architecture career, I can appreciate once you have kids, it puts everything in perspective. The late nights, the crazy hours, working for people that don't appreciate it. Yeah, I can relate to that. Can you imagine being a politician, how annoying that would be? Former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull praised the true liberal for her commitment to fairness, opportunity, and never losing her passion for economic reform. You have demonstrated women can do anything, including first women to hold a Treasury portfolio in Cabinet, and certainly the first to do with such young children, he tweeted on Saturday night. The Parliament's loss is you, your family, and your sanity's gain. She was first elected to the seat in a by-election to replace former Treasurer Peter Costello in 2009, while Labour Senator Christina Kennelly tweeted she may not always have agreed with Miss O'Dwyer. She'd been a friendly person who welcomed her into the upper house last year. It's sad her departure will leave the Liberal Party with fewer women. Oh, look at that. They just make it instantly into identity politics. Her compliment to this lady, she's just using it for political... This is disgusting to me. This really, it's just disgusting that she's turning what should be a nice compliment to someone who's done really well in their career and has decided to take a step back for her family. She's turned it to another bloody political kicking football. But I can't expect anything else these days. It's just what it is. I'm getting sick of it. Both Miss O'Dwyer and Mr. Morrison suggested a woman could be pre-selected for the job. We don't need gender quotas. The fact that it's a woman or a man is kind of irrelevant. I hope to most people, other than those on the left, that aren't your bloody constituents or aren't your supporters. The seat will be represented incredibly well by one of the very talented people who will come forward. And I no doubt that it will be a woman. Oh, great. Well, she's the Minister of Women, so what can you expect? The former lawyer holds Higgins by 8%. Her resignation comes on the back of a battering for the Liberals in a Victoria state election. Oh, yeah. Including the party's heartland. Yep, we saw that. The next federal election is expected for May this year. So this is going to be an interesting year, guys, to see what happens. What do you think? I mean, Minister for Women was kind of a pointless portfolio, I would say, from just my perspective. If anything, probably maybe she should have gone in there and addressed some of the situations where women were being unfairly benefited against equality, or were causing the discrimination of men in other parties. Maybe. I wish her all the best of luck. It's going to be hard having a third child at 42. It will. But, this is or in many ways, it's also a lesson for other younger women who are considering a career in politics. You know, have the family first, then do politics after. Then you don't need to pay IVF or struggle at an old age when, when you're younger, it can be free. Guys, please let me know what you think. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all again tomorrow. Bye for now.